Hello friends, welcome to my channel Fusion Nexgen Learning. If you first time viewer on my channel, subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon to get latest update from Fusion Nexgen Learning. In today's demonstration, we are going to cover one more business requirement, how to use deep link within the self-service procurement, and we'll talk about today one of our use case. So let's begin with the understanding and then we'll come to the demo. So deep link is basically the one of kind of component the infrastructure Oracle has introduced, which provides support for URLs. So let's take an example. If you have a business requirement where you don't want direct access to your respective user, but you want that if they would like to see certain information related to that respective data, then they can see all those information. So in all those cases, you can interact the URL within the Oracle Fusion application, which directly open internally within the Fusion application via bypassing the homepage screen or the menu item. So whoever you provides certain reports or the OTBI, they can only access relevant information to that particular order. So they don't have any menu access, they don't have any homepage access. So directly that page will open within the Fusion application. So what exactly it helps to the business users? It is human readable URLs which transformed into the internal URL via deep link infrastructure. So where user can have the access, so you can control the access, whether they can see only the view information or they can have the edit access as well. So all those conditions you can control with having the deep links. So we'll talk about one of the our use case, deep links in self-service procurement. So let's take an example. We have the buyer and buyer does not have any role to initiate the self-service purchase requisition. But in order to have the view if anything wrong done by the respective user, whoever initiating the requisition via self-service, buyer would like to see the requisition information only. In such cases, you can use this feature and you can provide them access internally with human readable URLs where they can have only that particular requisition information available. So now our use cases for drill down from Oracle Transactional Business Intelligence. So we are going to enable the deep link, the hyperlink within the OTBI reports, where user click on a deep link and they must have. So in order to open the URL or to view, they must have the data access. So what it means that if buyer will have the access as a buyer, so they can have the access of OTBI as well as to view the equation. The data access has to be there. So if they don't have the data access, they won't be able to view at all the equations or they don't have the privilege. So you have to take care of that. We talked about and understand what is the deep link, the concept where we can utilize. These deep link supports within the purchasing, within the self-service, sourcing, negotiation, you can utilize all. And each product will have certain options available. So you have to use only those options. Let's begin with the demo. I'll walk you through with the demo And then we'll talk about little bit more how you can configure, use it so that it is easy for you to create an OTBI and you can use such features. I'll go to the reports and analytics where I have created one of the OTBI. So what I have the business unit. I have also considered the equation header ID. Then what I have the equation number, then equation line, equation description, as well as the equation header amount, as well as the equation approval amount. So I have created a small OTBI report and I have enabled the deep link. So let's begin with the demo. So so let's take an example as a buyer or the administrator. I want that particular equation information to view from the OTBI. So I have to click on the equation number, and when I click on the equation number, it will prompt view order. So if I click on the view order, it will open human readable UI within the Oracle Fusion application. So it won't me redirecting to home page, but it provides directly access to that equation. So that is what the beauty of this feature that you can utilize. So if you see it open for me to view the equation information directly from the OTBI. So if I cancel that, so again, if I go and click to the view order, it will open internal URL within the Fusion application. So now how to create and what all things has to be taken care, we will be covering, and then we'll go into more detail so that you also will be able to create this for your business. So let's begin. So criteria. So first we'll go to the criteria, and within the criteria, so what I have done, I have selected procurement requisition real time information. That is what the analysis I have selected. And within that, I have the requisition header details. So we have the requisition header detail. From the requisition header detail, I have selected few data elements such as requisition business unit name, then requisition header ID, requisition number, requisition line detail, requisition description, and then requisition header amount, and the requisition approval amount. So if you see that, you have the description. Then what you have the requisition, you have the requisition header amount, you have the requisition header ID. If you go to the line, then you can pick it up the requisition line from the requisition line detail. And then from the requisition view, you can select the requisition business unit name. So based on that, you can configure what you have, but you have to look at, in order to make that happen or workable, you need IDs to be passed within that URL so that particular equations will be, the header ID will be passed when user click on the URL. So you don't need to customize or pass any constant. You want it to be open as a dynamic for any order. So in certain cases, I want my requisition header ID to be passed. So that's why I have added one of the data elements as a requisition header ID. Now, within the requisition header ID, so once your task done, once you created the OTBI and successfully you enable the deep link and thoroughly tested, so what you have to to basically, you have to click on the column properties. And within the column properties, you have the column format. So within the column format, so let's take example. It's done. Your task is done. You can hide that particular column. So you have to just enable this flag. So that particular column will be hidden. But it will be internally available within the analysis, but it won't be displayed to the respective user. So you can hide or unhide that particular. Now coming to the data format. And within the data format, you enable override default data format, and then you make the decimal places as a zero. So these two things you have to do and take care. Now coming to the conditional format. So if you have any conditional formatting, you can add that. If you don't need, so basically within the interaction, you have column heading called primary interaction. So that has to be there. And then value has to be action link. And then you have to have your actionable link over here. In order to create, you have the plus icon you can create, you have the pencil icon to add it, and you have the delete where you can delete your all the actions. Now I'll show you what I have written. So within the editable action, I have link text I have mentioned as a view order. You can put like that view purchase requisition order or anything as per your business need. Then within the action, you have to enter your the URL information and you have to define the parameter. You have to enter the URL and then define the parameter. So these all are the parameters. So if you observe that I have mentioned, so once you enter the URL and then define parameter, so first, second, and third. And if you see that, so I have mentioned all the prompts as a object type, what will be my object key and what will be the action. So we'll talk about all the detail, what all prompts available and how you can configure it. Object type. So if you see that I have mentioned, let me make it little bit zoom. So I have mentioned object type equal to at the rate, and then within the dash bracket, I have mentioned as a one, and then add object key equal to requisition header ID. And I am passing within the object key as a requisition header ID, and I have mentioned as a 2. So this is the second parameter. So I don't need to enter every time. So 1, 2, 3. So whatever I have entered as a prompt, system will take all those parameters. And within the action, I have mentioned within the brass bucket as a 3. And what will be at the 3? Third parameter, action. So what action has to be performed? So only. So within the object type, I have mentioned purchase requisition PRC agent. So that is what the value you have to select. So that particular agent, the axis, the role axis will be passed to the object and then in the object key requisition header ID. So that you have to select. And within the action, you have to enter as it. Now, all these values will be fixed and hidden. If you don't enable this hidden, then it will be display user. So I have hidden all the parameter. So it will be internally passed to the URL and then I have enabled that these are the fixed values. So I don't need to pass every time. You can make it optional as well if you would like to, so that any parameter will become as optional. You have an options. So if you open the options, so you have invoke action. So what kind of actions you can do that? So let's take example. You enable this flag. If you want any execute button text, then you can enable this so that it will be visible to the user. If you want any action help text to the user, you can enable this and you can type it your own and then run confirmation if you would like to set, so that whenever user click on the view order as a action, it will invoke all the text, all the customization. So whatever you want, you can configure. Now once you're done with all these, then what you have to do, you have to click on OK, click on OK, and then you have to go to the results and you have to how to create, go back to the criteria. So OTBI, how to create an OTBI and all, you can create, you can refer my earlier video where I have shown how to create the OTBI. So let's begin with the demo where I'll show you how you can create and will cover the latter other information. So I'll go to the create and then I will click on the analysis. And within the analysis, I will select procurement subject area. Within the procurement subject area, I will choose the procurement equations real time. So I have selected that. Now, once I selected, I'll create one OTBI, and within the OTBI, I will enable the deep link. So I'll show you that. So let me go to the equation header, and before that, I'll go to the equation view. So I will select my equation business unit name. So I will drag and drop. So that is the beauty of OTBI, where you don't need SQL coding understanding. You have to just drag and drop. And within the all attribute dimensions, within the subject area, you have to understand the mapping so that you can create by your own any OTBI report. So I want first the equation business unit name to be displayed. So I have entered that. Now I'll go to the equation header. So let me go to the equation header detail. So I need equation number. So I have drag it and drop it. Then equation ID, because that is more important for us because we are going to pass this header ID. So I have selected equation, I have selected header ID, and then I will select the description. I will select the description. So I have selected the description as well. And then we'll select other information if you would like to. Otherwise, no need to select. So let's take example. I want equation header amount and I would like to review the equation information. So I want header amount as well as equation approval amount because these two informations are more important for me to. Now, what else? So I have dragged it, dropped it, and added all the requested column. So what I have to do? So basically, you have to first go to the equation header and then you have to go to the column properties. Within the column properties, you have to go to the data format and then you have to enable it and decimal will place will come as a 1. You have to make it as a 0 so that it won't be come as a decimal value. And you have to click on. Once you're done, what else? So you have to go to the equation and you have to go to the column properties. Within the column properties, if you would like to have any background, anything customization, you can do that within the style. Column format, if you would like to any custom heading, you can do that. Data format is not required for this. Conditional formatting we are not using. Now we'll come to the interaction. Within the interaction, what we have to do basically. So within the interaction, you have to make sure primary interaction will be drill and value primary interaction will be action links. Once you done with the action link, you will see that it will come as a today. So you have to, so in order to create, you have to click on the, you can customize the name of that particular box. So it won't display as a link, it will display as a. So let's take example. I have entered view purchase requisition order detail. So I have entered that custom link text. So now you have to click on the action. Within the action, you have to click on the create new action. Once you click on the create new action, you have to go to the navigate to a web page. Since we are creating the URL, the web page, the deep link, so you have to click. Once you click, then it will ask you the URL for us to enter the URL detail. So what is the URL? So you have to enter the URL detail. So let me enter. Will I'll change it with the original URL. Let me show you just before I make that. And then you have FSCM UI spaces forward slash deep link, then question mark, object type. So first you have to enter the object type and we'll select the object type. So rather than entering the object type direct name, I'm entering as a 123 since I'm going to pass the parameter. So I have closed my brace bracket and then after that I will enter and then object. So object key I have to pass and then what will be our object key? You have to make equals to and then type equation header ID. Once you type the equation header ID, after that you have to make equals and then you have to again add the rate and then within the brace bracket make enter as a 2. Again, what detail will follow the action. So within the action equals to at the rate within the brace bracket, I will enter as a 3. So if you notice, let me make it a little bit zoom. And if you looked at the entire URL, so HTTPS, then colon forward slash pod name. Pod name. So from the pod name till this .com, this will be your URL. So which URL you used to get login, you have to paste exactly the same URL name over here. So this pod name you don't use for your testing purpose. You have to use your exactly environment URL which you are using today. And then from the forward slash till the action exact URL detail you have to enter. So I'll show you what I have written. So after the URL detail, you have to enter the forward slash, then FSCM in caps UI, forward slash, spaces, forward slash, replaying, question mark, object, T in caps, object type, equals, at the rate in brace bracket, enter 1 as a numerical. Since I will not enter, you can enter the exact parameter detail if you would like to. But rather than entering the parameter name, I am using 1, 2, and 3. And object key equal to requisition header ID equals at the rate in brace bracket 2. And after that, and action equals at the rate in brace bracket 3. Now, after that, you have to go to the define parameter. Once you click on the define parameter, you have to click on plus icon. Now, you have to define all the prompts and you have to select the values. So, what is our first prompt? So, we have used the object. So, type object, type. Now, the value. So, value, you have to use purchase underscore requisition underscore PRC agent. So, that is what the exactly value. So, we have enter the value detail. After that, what you have to do. So, I am enabling the fixed. What it means, it is the fixed parameter and I don't want it to be display. So, I will make this as it. Now, I will enter another. So, now you will see name is coming as a 1, 2, and 3. So, this will consider and pass all this parameter accordingly. So, what is my second? My second is object E. So, I will pass the prompt as a object and within the object key, I will select the column value. Now, what will be the column value? Requisition header details requisition header ID. So, I am going to pass requisition header ID for that particular order number. I will make this as a fixed, enable it as a hidden, and then again click on plus. Now again, I will select the prompt. So what is my prompt? The third prompt is action. So you have to enter exactly the name in order to make sure that it correctly works for you. So action, I have entered the action. Now what will be the value? So you have to enter in caps as a view. So I am creating this deep link which will allow purchase analyst to view the requisition detail. So I have selected the action detail. Till this, you have to follow the exactly. Will I'll change this till .com the URL detail exactly which environment I am using. Now, once you've done this, you have to click on the options. And within the options, you can enable if you would like. Otherwise, let it be. These are the optional. You can enable this flag as a open in new window. So whenever user click or try to execute that deep link to drill down that information, it will open in new window. So I have done that. Now click on OK. And before I change, I'll show you entire setup and then I will change this with the exact URL. Now click on OK and then click on. So this is how you can enter and then click on OK. So now before I proceed, let me update the URL detail. So to exactly add, you can click on the edit action. It will open the new window where you can enter your URL detail. So let me replace with the new URL. So where it is not the new URL, basically I added my environment URL. Now click on OK, and then click on OK. So I have successfully added the URL within the equation column. Now, in order to test, you have to go to the results. Once you click on the results, then it will prompt all the details. And in order to so have my detail, let me enter the filter. So I will enter my business unit detail so that I want only my business unit information, the equation, and I will enter my equation number so that it will display. So I've added within the criteria so that it will bring only in respect to my business unit all the equation and that respective equation. If I go to the result, you will see only one equation. And if I try to click on the equation number as a purchase analyst, I will see that view purchase requisition order. That is what we have entered the text. And if I click on, then it will open. Since we have enabled within the option that confirmation is required. So are you sure you want to invoke this action? You will say yes. Once you click on yes, then system will automatically take care about all those parameters. 1, 2, 3. It will pass that information and it will open the respective purchase requisition within the internal URL in new window. So you will see that. Now the two roles also include data security. So whenever you are configuring, you have to make sure that you have provided the data security, data access in order to open the equation. So let's take an example. You have configured the setup, and once you configure the setup and you won't be able to view or open the equation, that means you don't have the privilege, you don't have the access, data access, security access, or you have done while configuring the steps. URL pattern. So if you see that this is what the exactly URL detail you have to use, only you have to make sure that you change, replace podname.oraclecloud.com with your exact URL, your environment detail. Rest of the details are remain same. Now coming to, so let's take an example. This is what the privilege. So Oracle has provided couple of deep links, the work area where you can see what all product will be supporting. So you will see all those deep links within the work area. So this particular privilege is required in order to look at that. Now coming with the deep links. So within the self-service procurement, as I mentioned, deep links are available for two sets of users. Within the self-service, I am talking about for the self-service. So procurement agent and line of business user. That is called the LOB user. Deep link will open the target page in self-service procurement work area such as user this needs to have the manage requisition privilege. Means whoever user, you know, needs the access to have the access for manage requisition privilege, then you can provide this. As well as if procurement agent, that will be, the purchasing work area, where object type. So we have two types of object type. One is purchase underscore requisition underscore PRC agent for procurement agent, and another one is line of business user. So these are two only available for the self service. And this is what exactly. So this is what the pod name you have to use, and then the exactly URL will remain same. And then this is what you have to select, that we have already covered. And in the option, you can enable this open in new window and customize the actions as you wish. Now coming to these are the options. So I have shown that once you enable, you can mention all those text and you can use that if you wish to. Now coming to the URL pattern of deep links. So these are the typical URL for the deep link, and these are the parameter. So as I mentioned, the pod name. So pod name is the host name. That is your URL. Type, object type such as work areas. Work areas such as supplier, buyer, payable specialist, like that. Object key. Object key means object identifier. So object identifier. So for if I talk about the supplier as a object type, and for supplier, what will be the key to identify for that supplier? That is supplier number. Same way for purchase order, in order to have any key, that is to identify that particular purchase order number, that is the purchase order header ID. Same way for the requisition is requisition header ID. So you have to pass in the object key that particular key. Then action. Action is, so these are the detailed description. Mention the action that users can do on the page that the URL opens up. For example, to edit something or view something or create something or edit something. So these are the actions that you can use. So if you want only view, you can use the view. Or if you want edit or create, you can use these options as per your business requirement. Now return app URL. So if you are integrating with the third party application URL and you would like to come back to your Oracle homepage, then this will be used. Otherwise, you don't need use it. Then return app parameter, that is parameter for the return application URL. So that is type equal to photo. So these last two parameter will be used specifically when you are interacting with the third party application URL to your Oracle application. Now, these are the few tips like product, what will be the deep link object type, action. So let's take example. In order to view the purchase order, so your action will be view, object type will be purchase order, and then what will be the short description of purpose? When object key needed means any object type, if required, then you will see why. Means you have to pass the object key always. What will be the object key? That is the PO header ID. Same way, you can read, you can go through all these details what next? So these are the other product, as I mentioned earlier, the sourcing you can use within the supplier qualification, supplier model. You can use these deep links and you can utilize. So let's take example for the sourcing. In order to do the deep link for view negotiation, you can type object type as a negotiation and action will be your view. And action header ID will be your view. Now what next? So you can use self-service as I mentioned and demonstrated. These are the for self-service. Then these are the deep links, the example. So target audience. So what will be your target audience? Whether you are configuring for buyer, purchase analyst, APA specialist, requester. So accordingly, you can, configure the deep link. This is what the example given so that you can look at and accordingly you can try into your environment and then implement it. So these are the view change order to the requester agreements, then compliance checklist, view negotiation. So whoever the target audience, you can configure accordingly. If you have the supplier bidder, so what information you would like to give, like view negotiation. So how to configure what exact the URL would be. Like the pattern will remain same. Pod name will replace with your URL. Then object type. What will be the object type? You have to replace with that. And you can use either the object type name or you can use it as a 1, 2, 3 and then you can pass within the parameter. So as per your need, you can configure and implement it. This is for the manage qualifications, then view assessments, and then view initiative. This is all again the manage initiatives, view requisition lines. If you want requisition details, then you have the line of business user who can run the OTBI reports and have the access. You can provide them the access. You can do the deep link. So this is how you can implement the deep link feature into your business and achieve this kind of business requirement. Thank you. Thank you for watching my channel, Vision Next Gen Learning. Keep subscribing, keep supporting.